Ric Serritella here with Brian Baldinger for Sports Management Worldwide, and we got a major announcement. We are coming to the Sports Management Worldwide Football Career Conference in Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine, Baldy, and I'm looking forward to imparting our knowledge and experience. And I know you've been at it as a player, a coach, an analyst, a scout, and we're going to get a chance to talk to the next generation of up-and-coming superstars.
Well, I think it's the next step, in this whole offseason leading up to, the draft at the end of April, and we get to eyeball these kids in real drills here. Now let's go take another look at them, their measurables, how they compete in some of these drills. Whether you want to take much out of them, there's a place for it. So it's another chance for these kids to compete, try to do their best. They're all training for it. So we'll get a chance to really evaluate these kids at another level.
Yeah, and it's the biggest networking event of the year. Of course, Sports Management Worldwide will have the Punch Bowl gathering. Baldy and myself will be over there. We'll be at the Combine with the Football Career Conference. We'll be chopping it up, breaking it down, talking on the scouting panel, and meeting you over in Indianapolis. So go to smww.com, and we'll see you there, everybody.
You're tuned in to the All Access Football NFL DraftCast show here on this Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. I am your host, Ric Serritella, here for the next hour of power. So thank you for tuning in and joining us. Of course, you saw the little promo. We're brought to you by Sports Management Worldwide. We'll be out there for the Football Career Conference, February 27th through March the 1st, 2 weeks away. 2 weeks away. We got an all-star panel. I'm honored and privileged to be moderating the scouting panel out there in Indianapolis. And, of course, we'll be at the Punch Bowl Social for the biggest networking event of the year. So check it out, smww.com. Go to events, Football Career Conference, and save $150 with our promo code. Our good friends at SMWW hit us off with a promo code. It's Baldy150. All one word, all caps, BALDY 150. And speaking of Baldy, he is now done with regular season duties. He was down in New Orleans. He turns the page over to draft season. In fact, we got our scouting seminar tonight, but he'll be riding shotgun with me here the rest of the way leading up to the 2025 NFL draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Of course, born in Pittsburgh, PA, attended Massapequa High School in New York, graduated Duke in 1982, and spent 10 years in the NFL playing offensive line, undrafted free agent for the Cowboys, Colts, Bills, and Eagles. Of course, a broadcaster for Sky Sports, Fox, NFL Network. He's got the show on Audacity, and he joins me right now, riding shotgun with me. What's up, Baldy?
What's going on? This is a quick turnaround here. Rick, I was just it was in New Orleans. I was at the NFL Network studios in Los Angeles as part of our pregame show. I broke the entire game down all day Monday and into Tuesday. And here we are getting ready for the draft season. It turns over that fast. But if you're not one of those two teams, Kansas City or Philadelphia, playing the finals, your offseason has begun. And for some of us and for some teams, it started literally right after New Year's. And so some teams will get a head start, coaching changes, personnel changes. We're here to kind of monitor it all because honestly, I thought, Rick, whenever you win a Super Bowl, you can't help but look at that team, the Philadelphia Eagles, how they were built, what they did, how they accomplished what they did, the coaching changes, personnel changes. And so I think everybody should look at what the Eagles did this year, what Howie Roseman did, what Nick Sirianni did, what Vic Fangio did. I think we all should look at the champions and see what we can glean from what they accomplished.
No doubt about it. And the NFL has always been a copycat league and, often imitated but never duplicated. It's hard to replicate, like, for example, the Kansas City Chiefs if you don't have the quarterback.
Yeah.
And I think Jalen Hurts now has kind of inserted himself into that top-tier conversation. I mean, I get it. He's got a great offensive line. He's got the top running back. He's got a hell of a wide receiver duo, but he still makes it all work. He makes that tush-push happen. He's got deep ball accuracy. And I got to say, like, it's Mahomes. You want to throw him Burrow, Lamar, Allen. And then I think it's Jalen Hurts. Would you agree?
Yeah, you have to. Because honestly, Rick, I remember when he was coming out of Oklahoma, he was the 53rd pick of the draft. He wasn't on one of these, top 5 lists of quarterbacks. Lincoln Riley had him for a year, played well, was in a conversation early on that year in the Heisman. But he was the 53rd pick. He was supposed to come in, back up Carson Wentz, and he took the job from him. And, he's been to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. He's been an MVP candidate, certified MVP candidate at times during his career. He's an elite runner, but yet he shows patience in the pocket, and now he's become an elite decision maker. He threw the 1 interception, which turned out to be not catastrophic for him because Kansas City got the ball at the 2-yard line. But outside of that, the guy played almost error-free football over the last 4 months of the season. And when you can eliminate the errors, yet still be aggressive, hit Devontae Smith on a 46-yard, strike down the middle, hit A.J. Brown on a shallow cross for a touchdown, hit Jahan Dotson on the 4th pass of the game to set up the opening touchdown. When you can make those plays and then run when the opportunity's there, he's an elite decision maker now. And so you have to put him in the
37-10 his last 3 years as a starter in the regular season, and he likes to call himself the triple threat. He can beat you by the pass, beat you by the run, and beat you mentally, he likes to say, that Jalen Hurts. But we got Baldy, Rick breaking it down, turning the page of draft season. I got to say, I was impressed, though, man. I'm like, dude, Baldy's breaking it down in-game during the Super Bowl. You're getting Baldy breakdowns. I mean,
listen,
unbelievable.
So I broke down the tush-push on the opening touchdown of the game. The replay came. I put my phone up there. I did the breakdown. It's like got 3 million views. But honestly, it's kind of a misunderstood play. Like I remember, just real quick here, Rick, I remember talking to Jeff Stoutland last year about it. And he was like trying to say, like, yeah, don't read too much into it. He goes, we were 36 and 38 on quarterback sneaks when Carson Wentz was the quarterback. Like, we have perfected the short yardage play. Now, the tush-push came, but, like, it is real physics. I mean, their feet are in the ground. The knees aren't on the ground. They're not leaving their feet where they have no power. And all these teams that are diving over the top and flying into the line, defense flying in and losing their feet, they're just getting trampled.
Yeah.
And so a lot of teams try it. Very few teams have perfected it, including Buffalo in a big spot. And I just think, that if they want to outlaw it's fine. But the Eagles have perfected that play. And I was just kind of in that one breakdown I did. I mean, there's Saquon who squats 700 pounds. There's, Jalen Hurts who squats 700 pounds. Not everybody has that kind of power that's grinding it out behind Landon Dickerson and, Mekhi Becton and, Jergy and the whole thing.
No doubt. Brian Baldinger, Ric Serritella here on this Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. It's the NFL DraftCast. Make sure you go to allaccessfootball.com. We're breaking it down, chopping it up for the next, 71 days or so, counting you down to the NFL draft. And, you were down in Mobile. You got a chance to get your eyes on some Senior Bowl prospects, Baldy. Before we get into some of the Senior Bowl winners, talk to me first just about the access, the ambiance, being down in Mobile. We had some great conversations and just getting to get all different kinds of perspectives. We'll get to what we saw on the field in a minute, but just what a great place to be, huh?
Well, I mean, I remember during one of the drills, one of the one-on-one drills, offensive, defensive line, there was Mike Tomlin right in the middle of it, literally talking to every single defensive lineman and coaching them up to some degree. But I remember just asking Mike, like, is there anything better than eyeballing the talent? Because we can study all the tape, Rick. We have access to it. We can read all the charts. But until you eyeball these guys and see them and see the way they interact, the body language, the movement, until you see it with your own eyes. And we were right in the field, Rick. We had total access. Jim Nagy gave us the passes. We were right there in the middle of it. It makes a big difference to me. I mean, even like my buddy Daniel Jeremiah, who's broadcasting it, and he's up in the booth, I feel like I can see things that he can see off the monitor that he can't see. And the one thing, and we'll get into it here over the next 71 days, Rick, but the one thing I saw was we have a lot of real NFL ready bodies on this defensive line this year. It's a deep group at all positions. You want to look at the Eagles and see what they've done with Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Jalen Hunt, whatever. I mean, it starts with being an NFL ready body. It's not like you got to go put them on the weight program for a year. You got to, bury like these kids look physically ready to step into an NFL camp.
I'll tell you what, I don't know if I've seen that many big bodies that move like that in one field, that Senior Bowl. And we kept saying the talent is in the trenches. The talent is in the trenches. And you'll be happy to know, like, there's a lot of bodies on this offensive line as well. In fact, I know you have a Eagles obligation, so you're going to boogie on here early. But our friend Chad Reuter from NFL.com is coming up later in the show. He just did a 3-round mock draft. And of the 101 picks, he made a point to point out in the article, 45 of the 101 picks are offense or defensive linemen. And we saw that in Mobile. That's a reflection of what we saw.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't matter if you're looking at, Josh Connerly from Oregon. You could go inside, outside. Zabel from North Dakota State certainly stood out. But I thought, look, Tyler Booker wasn't there. He's probably the number one interior offensive lineman in this draft. One of the best I've seen in a long time. I got to know him at OL Masterminds last year. Like, the kid is, he's another Trey Smith. Like, he's going to be the anchor for your offensive line. But you could go through.
Let me stop you right there, because am I crazy to say, like, Tyler Booker, like, would it shock you if Tyler Booker was the first offensive lineman off the board?
No. And I'll tell you what, the thing that impressed me, first of all, about him, but really, with NIL money, these guys have money. The entire starting offensive line from Alabama flew themselves to Frisco, Texas in July, right before camp. And they sat in on, they had a whole table at offensive line masterminds. And there's, Lane Johnson, and, there's, Creed Humphrey, and, there's Mark Schlereth. I mean, there's a bunch of guys up there leading the way, Willie Anderson. And these guys are sitting in the front row taking notes. In fact, I sat with the entire offensive line from Alabama, including Tyler, and we watched the last Georgia-Alabama game as a group, and they just wanted my input from it and, my feedback and stuff. But it would not surprise me, because I think, we always talk about we gotta look at these players. How clean are they? Is it just about football? Is there a side to them that we got to go investigate? I think Tyler Booker is one of the cleanest players in this entire draft at any position. He's not fooling anybody with what he's saying in meetings. What he says is who he is. And it's all about ball for this kid.
No, I'm so impressed with Tyler Booker. I know he had to do a spot start early in the season at left tackle and looked a little bit out of place, but his natural fit is at that left guard spot. I think he has all-pro caliber potential. The Ohio State offensive lineman, I don't know if you've done any extensive work on these guys, but Josh Simmons, he suffered an injury early on. He looked great before the injury, and then they got Donovan Jackson, just slid from left guard to left tackle seamlessly. Like the guard class, Dylan Fairchild is another one out of Georgia. I mean, the guards, the interior guards, the centers that we saw Kendall. Yep. Was that at the Senior Bowl or the Shrine Bowl? I can't remember, but Kendall, I thought, is now my top center on the board.
Yeah. Well, we had a great group of centers last year, starting with Graham Barton. And if you look at the turnaround that Tampa had this year on offense, they went from the 32nd ranked running offense in football to the 4th ranked offense. Now, they had other additions, but I thought Graham Barton was the most important addition. I think he was the 20th pick. You look at what Zach Frazier did at Pittsburgh. He's going to be the center there for a long, long time. So I feel like your offensive line, Rick, this is just me now, but I feel like you're only going to be as strong, as your weakest link. And if your center is not strong, I don't care who you got to tackle or guard, you're not going to be an elite group. And I think when you look at Creed Humphrey in Kansas City. He might be the bell cow right now. But certainly, what Cam Jurgens has done in Philadelphia has solidified that position, taken over for a Hall of Fame player in Jason Kelsey, and a guy in Jason Kelsey who helped recruit and really scout Cam Jurgens when he was at Nebraska 2 years ago, and really said, okay, I think this is a guy that can, fill my shoes and do it adequately.
Yeah, I know we're gonna get more into the Howie Roseman resume and some of the things, but like I don't want to say he made Jason Kelsey an afterthought, but that offense didn't skip a beat with Cam Jurgens and Howie Roseman now 3 Super Bowls in 7 years. I'm starting to think he is accumulating a Hall of Fame resume. We got Brian Baldinger, Ric Serritella here for a few more minutes. Baldy's got an Eagles obligation. When you win rings and things, there's a lot of things going on that you got to be a part of it. By the way, will you be at the parade? Will you take the dare and wander down Broad Street at the parade?
I was on today doing something with Landon Dickerson, and I was asking Dickerson, okay, like he's in his wood shop right now. He's rebuilding his basement. That's what Landon does, but he's going to take the time out of his basement, and he said it's completely gutted. And I said, so what do you wear? Jason Kelsey was up there 7 years ago in a Mummers outfit, and he stole the show. Like, are you going to let Nick Sirianni put a Mummers out? Like, what are you going to do? And he goes, Baldy, I'm down here in my basement right now. I haven't really given it much thought. You let me know what you're going to wear. I'll let you know what I'm going to wear. So I don't know. I could easily be there on Broad Street, going down the Parkway, up the steps, the Rocky Steps. I could easily be there for that memory. Because really, it's all the kids are off from school, Rick.
Yeah.
Like, this is a big deal in Philadelphia. The Eagles are a huge part of the community. Everybody says go Birds to one another. It's a big deal, in South Philadelphia.
Don't I know? I was at the last one, in fact, and I might just see you down there at this one. So stay tuned for that. We might just have a live stream going on down on the Rocky Balboa steps. But before we get out of here, one of the things, without revealing any of the names, like we talked about some of the conversations, and we kind of put our finger on the pulse with where teams are at between Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward and the quarterback class. And I found it fascinating. I'm a Shedeur guy personally. I understand the logic for either guy going first off the board, but what were your takeaways or impressions just from the feedback that we gathered down there in Mobile with the quarterback class?
Well, as usual, we have more quarterback-needy teams than we have ready-made quarterbacks. Yeah. Rick, look, when this was a 12-team league back in the day, there wasn't enough good quarterbacks. Sonny Jurgensen got traded. There's never been enough good quarterbacks. So, I think we have to look at Jalen Milroe. We have to look at Jackson Dart. We got to look at these guys. And we have to, because the process is just beginning. Shedeur's got a lot of good tape out there. Cam Ward had a great year at Miami. Those are the guys that everybody's spitting out. But like I said, Jalen Hurts was the 53rd pick. Bo Nix wasn't the first 3 quarterbacks taken. He got his team to the playoffs this year. I think we have to look at some of these guys right now and really start, really saying, what can they become? We know they're not finished products right now. None of them are. But what is the upside to any of these guys right now? And so you've got to look at the production. You got to look at the measurables. You got to look at what's in between the ears. What's between the ears and what's going to allow them to never be my favorite thing about the Super Bowl, honestly, was listen to Pat Mahomes say, this thing is never going to go away from me. It's going to bother me my entire career. When a player says that, they don't say that just to get the media off their back. That's genuine. And that's what you want to hear. You want to hear, I'm never going to forget this. This is never going to leave me. We're never going to be satisfied till we come back and win another one. And that's what you hope. All of these kids, and not just the quarterback, the other position, that's what you hope you're getting.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Brian Baldinger, Ric Serritella here on the NFL DraftCast. Make sure you go to allaccessfootball.com. We got the scouting seminar going on tonight, the official 2025 NFL Draft Bible. We get scouting reports on all these dudes. Couple quick hitters, Bald. I know People want to know who you thought were the biggest winners down in Mobile. Give me one or two guys that really stood out to you, or however many you want to rattle off here. We got a couple minutes to play around with.
Well, I thought the defensive tackle position was strong. Like, everybody looks at Deion Walker because of his size. I wasn't that big, but I thought Shamar Turner from Texas A&M was a winner. I think that guy's got, I was a big fan of the outside linebacker from Marshall, and he didn't disappoint at all in what he was able to do. I thought that when I looked at guys like on the interior again, going back and looking at like Derek Harmon from Oregon, I thought those guys stood out. Like I thought it was just a strong class. And I was blanking for a second, but when I was thinking about the outside Mike Green from Marshall, the guy that was just blanking on his name. But Mike Green, like I know the arms aren't ideal, but I think the suddenness, the burst, the ability to dip and rip, like I think there's a lot there that people are going to really fall in love with.
No doubt. And of course, now we'll be out at the NFL Scouting Combine. You talk about turn and burn, baby. We are now, 2 weeks away to reporting to Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine. Of course, we're going to be out there with Sports Management Worldwide for the Football Career Conference. I'm going to be moderating the scouting panel with yourself. Our guy, Dane Vandernat, who's now with the Hamilton Ticats, will be part of that. And,
I thought we had a great session in Mobile.
Yeah, we did. We had a great film session in Mobile, breaking it down. And again, just great minds and sharing. We're trying to cultivate a scouting community where we can all become better evaluators and learn different perspectives and gain experience from others and see through their eyes and gain tips and tidbits and different kinds of methods here as we grow and become better evaluators each and every single day.
It makes me think about this one thing here, Rick. Patrick Mahomes dropped back 38 times in that game. We know he was sacked 6 times, pressured, hit, all that. The Eagles didn't blitz one time. Yep. They didn't run a single stunt. It's a straight 4-man rush, Rick. Like, if you wanted a template, okay? Because if you run a typical twist, end tackle twist, and that tackle doesn't get wide to really bot, Mahomes is taking off. Like, he's seeing that, and he's getting out of the pocket. He's going. I thought the way they rushed was really important to the success of the rush that they had. It really, we have not seen Mahomes bottled up like that ever. And so I thought, when we're looking to this draft and we're looking to build depth on your defensive line, people should study that tape of the Eagles in that Super Bowl.
Well, in a way, the previous defensive coordinator 2 years ago was Jonathan Gannon, who kind of ran a similar, very like a Vic Fangio defense he was running, essentially. And so then they went and just hired Vic Fangio himself, because I know Fangio was actually consulting.
He was consulting during that year.
Right.
And he left to go to Miami, and then he came back. And
one last thing I said this last night on Sports Rage. Nick Sirianni, I got to say, we just gave Howie Roseman his flowers, but for Sirianni as a first-year head coach, remember he hired Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon, 2 guys that got head coaching gigs right out of the gate. And I give him credit because the second year or last year, he hired 2 guys. He got it wrong. He admitted his mistake. He cut his losses, moved on, and found the right fits. Now he got Kellen Moore head coaching job, right? I mean, he's got
a Sirianni tree now. I mean, he's got 3 head coaches in 4 years, and he took over a team that was 4-11-1 and had collapsed, and he's got them in the playoffs every year, and he's got them to 2 Super Bowls and a Super Bowl win. Like, it's impressive.
Yeah, it is. You're impressive, Baldy. Keep up all the hard work, man. You are burning the midnight oil there with the Baldy breakdowns, the film room sessions. I'll see you later on tonight for our. And there goes Cole with the commercial break. We'll be back with Chad Ryder. Buckle up.
Ric Serritella here with Brian Baldinger for Sports Management Worldwide, and we got a major announcement. We are coming to the Sports Management Worldwide Football Career Conference in Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine, Baldy, and I'm looking forward to imparting our knowledge and experience. And I know you've been at it as a player, a coach, an analyst, a scout, and we're going to get a chance to talk to the next generation of up-and-coming superstars.
Well, I think it's the next step, in this whole offseason leading up to, the draft at the end of April. And we get to eyeball these kids in real drills here. Now let's go take another look at them, their measurables, how they compete in some of these drills. Whether you want to take much out of them, there's a place for it. So it's another chance for these kids to compete, try to, do their best. They're all training for it. So we'll get a chance to really evaluate these kids at another level.
Yeah, and it's the biggest networking event of the year. Of course, Sports Management Worldwide will have the Punch Bowl gathering. Baldy and myself will be over there. We'll be at the Combine with the Football Career Conference. We'll be chopping it up, breaking it down, talking on the scouting panel, and meeting you over in Indianapolis. So go to smww.com, and we'll see you there, everybody.
Let's go. Buckle up, baby. I'm ready for those Rocky Balboa stairs and that Philadelphia Eagles parade on Friday. I'm so juiced up and ready to go. We're 71 days until the 2025 NFL Draft. Welcome on in to the DraftCast show over at allaccessfootball.com. We're streaming across the Twitterverse and Facebook and YouTube, and wherever you're tuned in, please. Feel free to get interactive with it. We love comments. We love questions. We love likes. We love algorithms. So get down on it. Like I said, we're cultivating a football community here where we can generate all kinds of great perspectives from just minds that we respect. Our next guest, greetings from Germany. Oh, my God, Tobias Stark, buckle up. Thank you, my friend, for tuning in. We are international here on the All Access Football platform. Please let us know where you're tuned in from. You are watching here on this Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. And talking about the football community, our next guest is one of my dear friends and somebody, who we've kind of raised through the ranks in the football industry. And I guess it kind of shows our age because, we go back now since the turn of the century with our guy, Chad Reuter, of course, senior analyst over at NFL Draft Scout and CBS. And you'll be happy to know I spoke to our guy, Frank Cooney, this morning, and now you're with, of course, NFL.com, NFL Network. I can't believe it's been since 2011 already, Chad. How are you?
Yeah, thanks. No, as you just said on Twitter, I'm an OG, which stands for old guy in my world. This is the 25th draft that I've been part of. So, yeah, it's a long time, but still fun, and I'm glad to be here with you.
Yeah, the evolution of it all. It's been wonderful to just see the other than the Super Bowl. I don't think there's a bigger event than what the draft has become, right? And
That's right.
Once upon a time, we were there in the theater in Madison Square Garden, and it's really evolved. Now, I missed you at the East-West Shrine Bowl. I guess you were down there in Dallas, were you?
Yeah, for 2 days I went to practices and Sunday and Monday. Really enjoyed it down there. It's a good event, and I was happy to be there.
A great event. Talk about the evolution of the All-Star game, moving from Tampa over to Dallas, and just the access and the availability and the facilities.
Great.
And everything was just outstanding. I thought it was really, really well done. And,
Absolutely.
Yeah, outstanding.
It's funny. You go from Dallas, where everything is spread out all over the world, and then we'll be in Indianapolis for the Combine, where everything is right there. So you get a little bit of both worlds there. But it was great. North Texas facility was fantastic. Indoors, which is awesome considering the weather as well, and a lot of good players.
It was great though. I was like right on top of all the action. It was it was outstanding, I thought.
Yes.
And you mentioned the Combine. Like, I just hope they never leave there. It's been there for 40 years, and we've got another year coming up we'll see if we have time to sneak some combine talk in. But I want to talk to you a little bit about your recent mock draft. You did a 3-round mock draft over on NFL.com. Always exciting times when the NFL announces those first 100 and I guess what is 101 picks. I saw
101 picks. Yeah, that's right.
I was just talking to Baldy. Like 45 of your 101 picks, I believe, are offense or defensive line.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to what we're going to see come off the board early and often in this draft.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think, like on the offensive line, for example, I don't think it's a super deep class or super talented class, but there's enough guys, and the need is so great on the lines that I think teams will make sure that they get their guy early in this draft. And on the defensive side, though, there's a ton of guys, and in the 4th and 5th round, you're going to see defensive tackles that in other years could easily go in round 3. So a little bit different story for both sides, but overall, I mean, look, we just saw what the Eagles did in the trenches, right? I mean, we just saw it. So, and what the Chiefs didn't do in the trenches. So I think that's going to push teams, in that direction, as if they, needed reminders of that.
You got to build from the inside out. There's no doubt about that. And the Philadelphia Eagles are the prime example of this. Let's start off with the top of the draft. And of course, you can find this on NFL.com. It's all over the place. Chad does a great job. And you've got now Cam Ward coming off the board, number 1 to the Tennessee Titans. Now, Tennessee was one of the teams in the Shrine Bowl that met with Shedeur Sanders.
Yep.
You think it's just a personal preference here? Do you have Ward as your top quarterback, by the way?
I do slightly, just because he can do a little bit with more mobility. He's been a little more consistent, this year in terms of his growth as a passer. 6 years this guy has been, and we've seen what the experience can do. Guy like Jaden Daniels, guy like Bo Nix, you get that experience, and you can really fit into the NFL system right away. So, and he can make plays off platform. Sure, he's going to try to make some plays that he probably shouldn't, but again, that's part of the position now. Patrick Mahomes still does that. Josh Allen still does that, but they make enough plays to overcome that for their team. So you got to have a little playmaker in you nowadays, and certainly Ward is that. So he's slightly above Sanders, who could be really fantastic. He's he kind of reminds me of Jameis Winston in terms of a guy who's really a pocket passer, but instead of throwing interceptions, he takes sacks. So hopefully you can get a little better offensive line, change the offense a little bit, where Sanders doesn't have to hold on to the ball as long. He gets it out of his hand a little more quickly in his pro offense. I think he could do some really good things.
No, you're right about that. And I'll take the sack as opposed to the interception.
Yes,
but you just got to learn to get rid of that ball. And we shall see. I mean, he's never had a run game. He's never had an offensive line.
Right.
Like, what does that look like when he has a supporting cast?
Yep.
So we shall see. And
he had some good receivers. I mean, to be fair, he had some good receivers. And so, he had part of it. But I think the best is yet to come from him.
I agree. I think he's going to be a better pro than a college player. And that says a lot, because let's be honest, Jackson State and Colorado, they weren't world beaters now before he came to those.
Well, and he was a main reason that Colorado leapt up in 10 wins, whatever it was this year. They don't win like that since Gary Barnett was there 30 years ago. So for them to do that without the defense was okay. It wasn't great, but he played well in most games, and I think he's got room to grow yet as a player. And I think the attitude stuff is well overblown. I really do. I don't pay much attention to that.
Yeah, I mean, he's still a 20-something-year-old kid, but I think he handles himself very well in terms of accountability, his teammates, the press conferences that I've seen him, and how he handles himself with reporters. I think he will be just fine. Yes. Yep. Now, your next, I really think that the top 4 guys are just how you have it. I just don't think we know. I mean, they could go anywhere. You've got Travis Hunter 2 to Cleveland, which I like. Shedeur Sanders going 3 to the Giants would not shock me. And I don't have to tell you, the Giants were rolling deep in Dallas as well.
Yeah.
And then Abdul Carter, number 4. I'm sure the Patriots would be ecstatic with that. Can anybody else crash this top 4? Is Ashton Genty or Mason Graham maybe can break
I don't
into
think so. I mean, I think it would have to take something like Shadur Sanders really turning off teams for him not to go in the top 4. And you're not taking Carter and you're not taking Hunter out of there. And I don't think Ward comes out. So I think those are our top 4 in whatever order, it ends up having to be, depending on whether teams pass on quarterbacks. And a lot of people have talked about what the Titans GM said about generational talent. And assuming that means he wants like Carter or Travis Hunter, who's certainly a great talent. But look, they did the second round quarterback already, and they saw what happens. So if you want to compete in the AFC, you have to have a quarterback. And to me, so I really think they're looking at Ward or Sanders.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams actually in the AFC that are in need of a quarterback. You talk about the top of the draft. The Jets are up there. The Raiders could use a quarterback. There's a lot of AFC needy teams, it seems like. Now, you have a couple other quarterbacks, as a matter of fact, going later on in the draft. Jackson Dart, I think you have going later on. So I guess Dart has he won you over and staked his claim as QB3, or is it still?
Well, no, I wouldn't say that.
Okay.
I think just from what I've seen so far, that's sort of how I anticipate it playing out. But these are mock drafts; they're not my rankings, so it's a little different. But I think at some point, I assume that Pete Carroll and the Raiders are going to get a veteran quarterback. I've just made that assumption going into this mock draft. So if that's the case, then they're not going to mess around with trades and whatever. If a quarterback falls in their lap, then maybe they'll go that way. But so I think the Jets don't want to take that chance, because if Aaron Rodgers really walks, then they have nothing. So they got to make a move to make sure that other teams aren't making that move at some point. So if they don't go top 10 for Jackson Dart or Quinn Ewers, then they got to do it at the top of the second round, or you get into the late first round to get a guy, because otherwise they just treading water again this year.
Tell me about it. Both of these teams here in New Jersey, the Giants and the Jets, need to come out of this draft with at least a quarterback. Chad Ryder here, Ric Serritella, you out there. If you got a question for Chad, let us know. Checking in from Germany, Tobias has a question about the edge class, specifically. How does it compare to last year? Abdul Carter, how would he stack against guys like Will Anderson and Jared Verse, who I think won NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year this past season? Chad, where do you have Abdul Carter stacked with these two prospects?
I would say he's in that Will Anderson realm. I think he's a legit top of the draft edge prospect. And you see what Micah Parsons has done with the Cowboys. Yeah. And he had to make that similar transition, though he did it more in the pros than in college, like Carter did, from an off-the-ball linebacker to edge. And Carter's been great there. He's got position versatility. He's got scheme versatility. And so I think any team in their right mind's going to take him. And I think he's in that same category as Will Anderson, better than Jared Verse, who I liked coming out of Florida State, but he's not quite as bendy and athletic and things like that. Fantastic rookie year though. It was great, but I think Carter's a step above that. And as far as the edge class as a whole, it's fantastic. I think it's part of the you can lump the tackles and the edges kind of together in a defensive line that's really quality group in this draft. You're going to find guys third and fourth round. Like Hugh Robinson from Alabama, who we didn't see at a Senior Bowl or anything, but he's going to be at the Combine. That dude screams Ravens fourth round pick. He just screams it. He's one of these guys that's all potential. He didn't get a lot of opportunities at Alabama, but you just put it in pencil right now in your mock drafts. Fourth round, Hugh Robinson, Baltimore Ravens.
I love it. Well, when Chad Reuter tells me, I'm going to put in pen. I'm going to put that one in ink. Bringing you the names you need to know over here. I love it. I love those combine guys that, we don't see them on the all-star trails, and then they pop up at the combine and they give you something to think about. Now, I will say Carter doesn't have the same kind of size, I don't think, as a Will Anderson or Jared Verse, I guess, would be the concern if you had to be nitpicky. He doesn't lack size, but he's also not the prototype, right?
I think Anderson wasn't really considered. I think we'll see what Carter comes in at, right? I mean, we have Carter,
to see. He kind of, I think, could be a little bit like a Von Miller, where he plays 34, 43, and could be an interchangeable part. Speaking of size, I really want to talk about Xavier Restrepo, who was down in Mobile, by the way. You have him going 35 to Tennessee. Any concerns about the size or the speed, or you just
no? I do want to see the quick twitch in person at Indy against some of the other guys. But the fact is, I don't know how many more times teams have to see that a 6'3", 215 guy who has problems catching the ball isn't as good as a slot who's 5'10", who can move your offense. Yeah. The Chargers, Quentin Johnson made some plays this year. He wasn't my favorite coming out. The offense ran through Ladd McConkey. Okay. And I mean, that's how the offense moved. And so Restrepo is one of these guys, and I couldn't help myself but put Restrepo and Cam Ward going to Tennessee together, because how fantastic would that continuation be at the next level? And I think that if you want a rookie to perform well, you need the guys around him who are going to make him feel at home, and that a guy you can just get the ball to right away. So that's the kind of guy that, now if he goes out there and runs a 4.6 40 and isn't as quick as, I think in some of those tests, then maybe I have to drop him back a bit. But honestly, like the floor for me is like late 2, where he's like a Randall Cobb kind of guy, just a really solid, reliable slot that can get downfield as well, tough as nails. Not easy to tackle, by the way, either, at that 200 pounds. So, I just think he's one of those guys that is going to be a really good pro.
All right, last one for you. We're talking to Chad Reuter. You can check out his recent 3-round mock draft over on NFL.com. He's going to have a lot of great content between now and the 2025 NFL draft. Let me ask you about Malachi Starks out of Georgia. You have him going 22 to the Chargers, which I love.
Yeah.
Is that just because safety's kind of been devalued? Where do you see Starks' draft value? I see him as kind of like a top 10 type of talent in this year's draft. I'm curious to get your opinion.
Well, I think he struggled tackling at times this year, especially early in the year. Georgia's defense kind of struggled at times. And a lot of times you need that guy to be a very secure tackler. And there are times where he is. He will he will hit. He's not contact shy. But there was a little concern. And I think some teams are going to look at him like, is he really quote, only a nickel guy? Is he really going to be the kind of reliable safety in the back end that we're going to need? We'll see what his size is too when he comes in, what his speed is. So it'll be really interesting. But I think partially because the position is devalued, but also just because there's some question marks about that. And he's great in coverage, though. He's really good in coverage. And if they let him fall too far, then it's going to be him and Jahdae Barron are going to be like, last couple of years, they've let Cooper DeJean fall to the second round, which I knew was going to happen because teams didn't know what to do with them. And the same thing with Brian Branch. So if these two, defensive backs fall into the late first, early second round, they're going to be fantastic finds, despite of, what their size or their speed may say.
Yeah, I'm a big Jahdae Barron fan, and I know 5'10", 5'11", somewhere around that range might hurt him, but he could play for me any day. Chad Reuter can suit up for us at All Access Football any time of the week. He's always on call, man. He always bails us out, and he always delivers, man. Chad, I thank you so much for your time. I know you're a busy man, and what else you got cooking? What are we going to be looking for on Combine?
Sure.
NFL.com? What do you got going on?
Yeah, I'll be at the Combine, and so I'll be giving my daily report on guys that did well and maybe who need to have a pretty good pro day. So I'll be there providing that information, tweeting out what I can, and trying to make sense of this class. But yeah, it'll be great. And then more mock drafts will be coming down the road. Obviously, we'll be writing some other articles. So it's getting to be my time of year now, and it's fantastic.
So do you enjoy the what do you enjoy more, the mock drafts or tracking all the pro days in March?
Definitely the mock drafts. Definitely. Even though they're a ton of time, it's really a math puzzle, and the pro day stuff, it's a disaster. But you do what you can, and you get what you can, and you have people to talk to, try to find this stuff out. But in the end, the mock drafts are what people want to see. That's I just give the people what they want, Rick.
Yeah,
that's all I want to do in life is give people what they want.
Chad Reuter always delivers. That's why we have you, buddy. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate you.
That's the man right there. Just full of knowledge, experience, and always comes on the show and delivers just great information. He gave you the Alabama guy, Q Robinson, and Chad has been doing this thing, man. Like I said, even longer than myself, 25 years. We're on our 23rd year at All Access Football, so we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate everybody who's gone and got the 2025 NFL Draft Bible. It's going to be a chock full of draft nuggets. I'll tell you what, man, there's not a lot of sleep going on here at the Jersey Shore on this Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to take one more quick commercial break, Cole. When we come back, we're going to put a ribbon on the show. We had Brian Baldinger at the top. That was Chad Reuter. When we come back, I'm just going to give you some final thoughts and takeaways from the Eagles, and we'll be back right after this.
Ric Serritella here with Brian Baldinger for Sports Management Worldwide, and we got a major announcement. We are coming to the Sports Management Worldwide Football Career Conference in Indianapolis for the NFL Scouting Combine, Baldy, and I'm looking forward to imparting our knowledge and experience. And I know you've been at it as a player, a coach, an analyst, a scout, and we're going to get a chance to talk to the next generation of up-and-coming superstars.
Well, I think it's the next step, in this whole offseason leading up to, the draft at the end of April, and we get to eyeball these kids in real drills here. Now let's go take another look at them, their measurables, how they compete in some of these drills. Whether you want to take much out of them, there's a place for it. So it's another chance for these kids to compete, try to do their best. They're all training for it. So we'll get a chance to really evaluate these kids at another level.
Yeah, and it's the biggest networking event of the year. Of course, Sports Management Worldwide will have the Punch Bowl gathering. Baldy and myself will be over there. We'll be at the Combine with the Football Career Conference. We'll be chopping it up, breaking it down, talking on the scouting panel, and meeting you over in Indianapolis. So go to smww.com, and we'll see you there, everybody.
All right, back at it again. Ric Serritella here on the All Access Football DraftCast. It is Wednesday, February 12th, 2025. We'll be out at the Combine, the Sports Management Worldwide Football Career Conference. Go to smww.com, click that tab that says events. It'll drop down to the Career Conference. You can save $150 with our promo code BALDY150. That's BALDY 150, all caps, no spaces. We'll see you out there. Okay, we'll see you tonight at the scouting seminar. If you're part of our allaccessfootball.com community, check your inbox, check your spam, check your junk. And we'll see you tonight. We're going to do a deep dive into that Philadelphia Eagles team and break down some film X's and O's style. But one of the things that we're going to talk about and take a deeper dive into are just like nobody hits more home runs than Howie Roseman. And let me explain. I went back and just looked at the last 4 drafts. Like, Howie Roseman did not strike out once, not once, with the first 3 picks of every single draft of the last 4 years. Like, we talk about batting averages and hitting 300 is doing a great job. And if you're hitting if you're hitting 5 out of 10 of your draft picks, like you're just ahead of your class. Like, this guy did not miss. Let me explain. 2024 NFL draft. Quinyon Mitchell, Toledo, with the first round pick, stud. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa, 40th overall, stud. Jalix Hunt had a Houston Christian in the 3rd round, sack in the Super Bowl. Like, all 3 played a huge role. 1, 2, and 3. That was this year's draft. Let's go to last year's draft. Jalen Carter. How about Nolan Smith? Identifying targets and moving up. 2 guys in the 1st round, the first 2 picks, Carter, Smith, wreaking havoc. How about the 3rd pick that year, Tyler Steen? You saw the injury to the offensive lineman in the Super Bowl. In comes Steen, played a key role. This guy did not miss. 2022, Jordan Davis, Cam Jurgens, Nakobe Dean. Like, we just had Brian Baldinger on the first segment talking about Cam Jurgens. The Eagles' offense didn't skip a beat without Jason Kelce. Like, nobody even thought about Jason Kelce unless they were tuned into his podcast, right? Nakobe Dean had 15 starts. Like, you want to nitpick. Like, it took him 3 years. Didn't do too much the first 2 years, but Nakobe Dean had 128 tackles this year, right? Guy doesn't miss. 2021. Devonta Smith, Landon Dickerson, Williams, the defensive tackle from Louisiana Tech, that's going to get paid now after his, what do you have, a sack or 2 in the Super Bowl? Like, 1, 2, and 3. Again, 4 years in a row, all top 3 picks are hits. That's how you win Super Bowls. And then how about the year before, 2020, where you could state a case? It's where it all started. Jalen Hurts, 53rd overall in the 2020 NFL draft. So he found his quarterback, not in the 1st round. He developed them. And then, they built through the draft. And then they developed the talent. Guys like Cam Jurgens and Tyler Steen and Nakobe Dean. And these cornerbacks, like they had Bradbury and Darius Slay playing at a high level. And then they just replaced 2 older guys with stud rookies. Then I could do a whole nother segment on the fool's gold they found in Zach Bond and going out and bringing back CJ Gardner-Johnson and thinking outside the box and giving a big payday to Saquon Barkley and paying a running back when others didn't want to do it. I'm looking at you, Joe Shane. Pull up a chair, my friend. Give it another year. You'll be in the media with this guy. All right. Well, hey, that's been an hour of power. I appreciate you buckling up and hunkering down. Again, we'll be doing the scouting seminar, our second monthly scouting seminar with Baldy and myself later on tonight. That's going to be 9 o'clock. We'll be breaking down some of those Eagles rookies, some of those Super Bowl film packages that Baldy does a wonderful job. It's an open roundtable discussion. It's meant to be a community affair where we can all share. We have other scouts in the room. Everybody shares their different perspectives and different techniques, scouting methods, tips. We're all becoming better evaluators because of it. It's going to be a big effing deal, but it's just in the early stages. So do yourself a favor, go to allaccessfootball.com, check us out. We also have the 2025 NFL Draft Bible coming. We are moving and grooving. There's no time for rest, okay? There's no time for rest. Of course, we got our updated rankings rolling out over on the website. Bunch of great content coming. We'll post this show over there. We'll post the scouting seminars. For those of you who can't make it, of course, we'll be out at the Combine in 2 weeks. Can't wait to get me some of that St. Elmo's shrimp cocktail, clear the sinuses with the horseradish over there. Need me some of that. We got the super producer, Cole Glotzer, is going to be joining us, just announced. And we're rolling deep. Like, Baldy's going to be out there with us. We got our guy, Howard Balzer, who's holding it down for the Pro Football Writers Association, but he'll also be contributing Combine Confidential pieces for us over at allaccessfootball.com. Our girl, Kate Adams, is going to be conducting interviews. She's also going to be hosting the Inside the League Combine Award Ceremony interviews with the Best Draft Award, the CO Braccato Scout Award, the Eugene Parker Lifetime Achievement Agent Award, all the front office executive awards that we do at the Indiana Convention Center each and every year, courtesy of Inside the League and our good friend Neil Stratton. Of course, we'll be at the Punch Bowl Social for the networking event. All of my friends in Indianapolis always pass through and come on in and just kind of mix it up. I always joke with some of my friends, sometimes we got to leave Jersey and come to Indianapolis just so we can hang out. It's that kind of party out at the Combine. And there's so many great things. Of course, if you're going to go to the Football Career Conference, use our promo code. It's Baldy150, BALDY, all caps, 150. You save $150, and you're immersed. If you want to level up your pro career, if you want to build your network, if you want to rub elbows with industry professionals in every arena, right? Agents and scouts and media and any kind of sector that you can imagine, it's all out there in Indianapolis. I'll be driving myself. I'm just so tired of these airlines and flights and savages on these third country flights that the USA has blessed us with. I mean, am I in America with these flights? Are you kidding me? I'm done. I'm driving to Indianapolis, man. I've had enough. Okay. Anyway, I hope to do better next time. We'll be back next Wednesday, every Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. If you're just tuning in, we had Brian Baldinger, who's going to be riding shotgun with me from here on out. He had an Eagles obligation, so he jumped off early. Chad Reuter was so kind to join us in the second segment and talk about his mock draft. And we'll continue to build this thing, man. So thank you for checking us out. Thank you for tuning in. We want to be more interactive with it. And again, if you are tuned in on Facebook or YouTube or Twitterverse or wherever you may be, please spread the word, hit the like button, subscribe, help us get our algorithm up. And we'll see you back here next week, Wednesday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. Buckle up. Ric Serritella, I'm out.